Welcome to Tech Notice Awards for GPUs 2025. There's been quite a few GPUs launched this year, but which ones are actually worthy of getting an award? Which one do we crown as the best GPU of 2025 and the different categories? Because we've got nominations from Apple, AMD, Intel, and Nvidia. Everyone's got something to offer, so let's take a look. So the first category we're going to be looking at is design. They've looked gamery way too long, and we need some beautiful designs on the GPUs. Now we've got nominations from MSI, the Inspire series, and their Expert series. Absolutely fantastic looking GPUs. Is a really refreshing new look to 2025, and I wish they continued it all throughout the GPU series so you would get 5090s in that as well. Then we've got Asus ProArt, of course, that has released their ProArt series GPUs for the first time. We can see wood and USB-C on the GPU. And then finally, Nvidia Founders Edition, which is not just beautiful, but also one of the only, if not the only, 2-slot RTX 5090 on the market, able to cool 600 watts and still look absolutely beautiful. There is nothing like that out there. Now, Apple GPUs, they're really hidden within the chassis of other devices, whether you're looking for Mac Studio, Mac Pro, or MacBook Pro. So we can't really design award the GPU for Apple because it's just underneath the hood. You don't see that. As much as I like all of the board partners, the design for this category award will go to Nvidia Founders Edition 5090. This card is just absolutely amazingly beautiful. When you hold the card, it feels premium card. It's just absolutely amazing. And you can get the 5090 with it, which is the key point. If you're just looking for a beautiful design, high end, then suddenly on the other board partner cards, you're gonna have to go with a very gamery look, whereas the 5090 is on the Founders Editions. Now, the best consumer GPU for 2025. This is an interesting category where we've got very interesting nominations and contenders. Firstly, we've got Apple. Apple's got their Mac Mini with the M4 and M4 Pro, which are really, really affordable, and a lot of people are buying them and consumers love them. Now, the downside that is that for gamers and some of the 3D applications, Apple's kind of falling short in there and it's not as good as Nvidia. Then we've got AMD that launched their 9000 series graphics cards. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for them from AMD that were promised over a year ago. So I wish I had more content for you, but there's still a promise that they will come. Hopefully we'll get them soon on the channel. So hit that like button, subscribe if you like to see them for content creators' perspective. And then we've got Nvidia that's launched a lot of different GPUs at different price point. But the argument here is that Nvidia likes to tax their GeForce CUDA on the cards, and they're a little bit more expensive, perhaps less consumer friendly. And then finally, we've got Intel with their Arc B580, B50 Pro, and then B60 Pro that were launched as well. A lot more affordable for the consumers, offers great price point, great performance, but for content creators, maybe not so good in there because the 3D performance in the Arc cards, it's not really supported yet. So the best consumer GPU, all things considered, will go to Intel Arc B580. Now, as much as we don't like Intel CPUs and what they're doing with the company, it might be going down, but I think this is probably, maybe even their saving product for the whole company, because this is huge value, an amazing GPU for most people who want to get started. And this is very consumer friendly. Especially during the holidays, you can get really good deals on them for other games and other bundles that the Intel B580 offers you. There's also B570 that's slightly lower. But when you look at the price point and the GPU, there's real no negatives about the GPU, apart from the 3D and some of the creative applications in 3D particular. But for photo and video editing, it's an absolutely amazing GPU, especially if you are on an AMD CPU platform where you don't have Intel QuickSync for video editing. Suddenly, the Intel Arc B580 will offer that to you and also gives you the ability to have smooth timeline playback at a very good price point. And for that reason, we're going to give it to Intel because they didn't cut any of the features just for the sake of it so that you would upsell or buy something higher. They didn't try to compete for the best, and it's very modular. You can upgrade it later. It's not baked in like Apple, or for the M4 or M4 Pro. If you want to upgrade, buy a whole new device. This is where the consumers are gonna go. Next category, the best bang for buck GPU. Slightly different than the consumer GPU, because now we're looking for that sweet spot of a GPU that is not necessarily the cheapest and maybe not necessarily for everybody, but just offers you the absolute kind of a golden nugget somewhere in the middle. AMD, I wish we could speak a little bit more about them, but for creators, it falls a little bit short. Nvidia's got a large range of their GPUs, but which one exactly is the sweet spot? Because their naming is sometimes confusing. You can have the same naming 5060 Ti, but that VRAM there is 60 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes can make a massive difference. Or sometimes they have a card that they massively cut down some of the features, and so for you to upsell, perhaps even it's the Apple, the best bang for buck for most of the people. But the award here goes for the RTX 5070 Ti. And in here, feel free to check out any of the board partners, whichever one you like the most. I've got the PNY in here, which tried the Zotac one, I believe Asus, Gigabyte, they're all out there. MSI, in fact, you can get the Inspire and Expert for the 5070 Ti if I'm not mistaken. So I'll leave some of these linked in the description below. Maybe you can still find them on a deal during the holidays. But why is the 5070 Ti so special? Now, not to go into lengths about the encoders and decoders for creators, but the 5070 Ti is basically a baby 5080, but at a much lower price point, where the 5080 does not start to make sense anymore, and the 5090 seems just more than double the price somewhere higher up there. And then if we start to go lower, we suddenly start to lose a lot of the features that are still on the 5070 Ti and not on the lower series of the Nvidia 5000 GPUs. So the 5070 Ti has 2 encoders and 1 decoder. If you go any lower, 5070, suddenly we have 1 decoder and 1 encoder. The decoders and encoders are the best on the market, especially if you're a video editor and you need smooth timeline playback. For example, H.264 10-bit 422, that is not possible in any of the other GPU manufacturers, where you go with AMD, Apple, or Intel. It's only possible with the Nvidia 5000 series. And the 5070 Ti has got 16 gigabytes of VRAM without losing any performance, which is the same that you have on the 5080. Now here's the thing, the 5080 should have 20 or 24 gigabytes of VRAM, then the 5080 would make sense at that price point. But the price difference between those two, you get the same VRAM within 5% performance of both of these two. That's why the 5070 Ti is the best bang for buck sweet spot for most people, especially for creators. Whether you're doing photo, that doesn't really matter as much what GPU you're using, but video and 3D, the 5070 Ti is the sweet spot for most people. And looking at my affiliate links, I can see a lot of people have picked it up during the Black Friday, and I encourage you to do the same before the pricing again skyrockets next year. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hit that subscribe button and check out my previous videos. Next, we've got the best workstation GPU. And here really there's no competition. AMD does have their Pro cards, which again, I've been promised that are on the way, yet we haven't tested them yet. Probably offer a little bit better price point, but the best workstation card is the Nvidia RTX Pro 6000, which is basically the 5090, but even more. You get faster clock speeds, more CUDA cores, and 96 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you're doing AI, want to run the local LLMs or do anything else that requires large amount of VRAM, that card has got no competition. By far the absolute best workstation card, but it also has a price point. And there's a reason why there's that price point, because there's no competition. Nvidia, you've got it. Next off, the budget or affordable GPU. And this is an interesting category. We've got a lot going on in the lower end. We've got Nvidia with their 50 series, AMD, Intel at the lower end, and even Apple. And here's the thing, budget GPU, I'm actually gonna give to Apple M4. Why, you might be saying? Well, the M4 you can pick up at a very, very affordable price point on a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini that costs only $500. And that doesn't just give you the GPU, but also the whole system, plus a lot more. If you need a GPU at that price point, the whole system, nobody can compete with the M4 and Apple Mac Mini. There's just no competition. Yes, technically, if you start to build a system for the same price point and start to use used pricing and find something online and you like to have DIY, there might be some other options out there, but the M4 from Apple is just the best budget GPU that you can get. If you're a creator, you're gonna love the video and photo editing. 3D is probably a little bit weak, but regardless, the whole experience of it, Apple's got the consumers, which is slightly scary considering that Apple's always been the more premium price point, yet for the best budget GPU, the M4 has no competition. Have a look at any of the laptops, the MacBook Air will just crush anything at the battery level and performance. M4's got it. Next off, the best AI GPU. There's the RTX Pro 6000 that we just mentioned, which is a ridiculous price point card and very, very good for AI. In fact, most likely you can't buy it even if you wanted it because it costs more than gold, and Sam's bought them all. Sam's got them all, or somebody else who needs a lot of AI. Then the other option is from AMD, and AMD's got their Pro cards as well for AI, but not largely available. Apple has got their M3 Ultra with 512 gigabytes of RAM or VRAM. It's unified memory, which means that that's very, very good for AI. And now, because of the RAM prices have skyrocketed, looks even more appealing than ever before. But the award actually goes to Intel Arc B60 and B50. Those two cards are affordable cards that anyone can access and have hands on. They offer a lot of VRAM, and when we tested it, Nvidia at the same price point just has no competition. Intel, again, being very, very clever, that just cut through at the really nice price point, and that's why it's the best AI GPU, because that offers it for more people. More people can have access to it. Technically, Nvidia's got some other GPUs that are really good for AI that nobody can buy, but why give it the award if you can't actually access it? The best AI GPU that we can access is Intel Arc B60. We tested the smaller version B50 and it was very, very impressive, but the B60 is even more impressive. And finally, the best GPU engineering award. Who's gonna get that? And this year we tried a few GPUs and there was two that really stood out for me. The Zotac Arctic Storm 5090, the performance-wise, absolutely amazing. Probably the best GPU, well, it is the best GPU we've tried this year. Cooling, noise, absolutely amazing. Then there's also another one, which is Noctua RTX 5080. In terms of quietness, there is nothing better than the Noctua. This card brings silence to a whole other level. The card is massive and is not for everybody, but it's fantastic engineering. Although I wish it was a 5090 because the cooling is an overkill. So who does the award go to? I'm gonna give it to Noctua. Here's why. Because sometimes just having an AIO on a card, it does seem impressive and it's very good engineering, but I feel like it takes a little bit more to make the card silent. Noctua here improved the heatsink. It also added their new fans that took them over 7 years to make, a lot of failures, and that card altogether is just another benchmark for silence for the rest of the cards. And for that reason, we're going to give it to Noctua. Yes, a lot of the design and actual engineering kind of secrets are because of their fans and they made it bigger, but why not? And for that, I absolutely love that. I feel like they massively made a difference compared to the previous generation where the 40 series and 30 series only had 2 fans, and yes, it was impressive in some sense, but this is a whole other level. In fact, it's on a whole other level that this should be a 5090, not 5080, and that's why I'm going to give it to Noctua. So these were the awards for 2025. Let me know if you agree with me or not agree with me in the comment section below. Perhaps there was another category they would like to see somebody that we missed. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, huge thanks for all of you who've stuck by on this channel, watched all the reviews, are interested in what we're doing. If you're new here, welcome to Tech Notice. We're a creator-focused PC and tech channel. If that is of interest to you, the subscribe button is your friend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.